Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Conversations with Jason. Super excited to have you guys back again for another episode. If this is the first time you've been on this channel, what we do on this channel is we talk about branding, marketing, advertising, as well as motivation, all those great things. And without wasting time, let's jump into today's episode. So today's episode, we want to highlight a couple key things happening, all right? We first have brand's response to Joe Biden's inauguration. Then we really want to talk about what's happening in Turkey regarding social media. Then we want to take a little bit of time to really explore the changes happening in the consumer's mind as we move into 2021. And finally, we want to talk about how people are actually changing logos, how companies are adapting logos to newer times. Okay, without wasting time, let's jump into it. First off, we have brand's response to Joe Biden's inauguration, right? So we got some fun things going on here because we start seeing many brands start taking that political stance that we were talking about these few past days, right? Remember how we were talking about how a lot of brands need to start taking stances just because a lot of their consumers are now caring about what their brands stand behind. And it's really important that we actually speak to our consumers through what we stand behind, right? And this moving trend has become much more prevalent as companies like Gillette have done, as companies like Coca-Cola has done, Nike has done, and a whole bunch of different companies have actually done. So in this case, what we have Patagonia supporting President Biden. We have Ben & Jerry's ice cream, right? First woman, first black, first South Asian vice president. A whole bunch of great things. We even have other kinds of Ben & Jerry's where it's just about news, about the political climate, and we even have companies like Bumble and Nickelodeon, right? But although moving towards a much more political stance is much more important in this day and age, it's really important to start really consider your consumer profile, right? Who's your ideal customer, and it's really important because younger generations tend to lean left. That's not any surprising, right? We know that a lot of people from millennials and Gen Zs typically lean Democratic and lean left. But then, if you're going to baby boomers and a little bit of even silent, they're typically leaning much more conservative and much more Republican. So, for instance, if your overall consumer base is still a much more older generation, I wouldn't recommend you particularly side with the Democratic Party just because you may do more harm than good, just because you might actually offend a lot more of your consumer base and actually lose a lot of patronage. You may target new people, but unless you are very sure that you are able to reach them, I wouldn't recommend a lot of companies just jump on this trend and really jump on this thing, right? There is a lot of risk, but again, the younger generations are the future, so we will have to see the way brands actually approach this. Next off, let's talk about what's happening in Turkey. So Twitter, Pinterest, as well as Periscope has actually been banned in Turkey because Turkey has a new law that really talks about you need to have a social media representative to actually a local representative to actually remove any kinds of posts from request, right? These companies have actually not been able to provide it, but companies like Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Television have actually been able to provide it. So we would definitely have to see how social media has been dealt with in Turkey in the future, seeing if these companies will actually put down a local representative to actually deal with this issue. I honestly think it's just a temporary thing. I definitely think these companies will appoint a local representative to just deal with this. It's not a big deal, right? For companies as big as Twitter as well as Pinterest, another one or two more local representative isn't a too big change for their company. Moving on from that, we talk about what consumers are expecting from what marketers are expecting consumers to actually expect. A lot of people expecting. But what we see is that once again, really, biggest thing is really this move towards digital, right? Marketers are really expecting people to actually move towards this digital age and really understanding the importance of being able to serve these consumers. Companies that are not able to keep up during this will likely lose a lot of market share, and companies that are able to take advantage of this situation really becomes really will be able to start stealing market share of bigger consumers within the market, right? That's why you start seeing companies like Walmart even starting their own thing like Walmart Plus, where it's very similar to Amazon Prime, where they're able to provide fast shipping, 2-day shipping, and things like that. Really moving towards this digital age has really affected many companies and really shifted the way we interact with brands. Now, even companies like Lululemon will actually be actually be providing their online services too. They also realize that things have been changing, and they are starting to realize this trend, and they're starting to focus on how they are able to target at home workout people, right? Maybe it's creating more content towards this thing, towards this new consumer base. Finally, what's also happening is that the whole pandemic has actually hurt low income housing people as well as younger generations that are not as financially secure. Now, it's very important because this has actually created some new consumers where they are much more conscious about the way they spend money. So, as Phil Kafaraskis, an industry analyst and former president of Specialty Food Association, mentions that it's really starting that we need to start micro-targeting these core messages to these people just because they've been inversely affected by the pandemic, and really being able to speak to them and really being able to resonate with them has never been more important because they are very conscious about what they spend their money on moving forward. Now let's talk about what's going on with brands, right? So if you've noticed, brands like Burger King have actually been changing towards this flat design. Now, what is a flat design? A flat design is just simply a much more simpler design in a two-dimensional style that really lacks any kind of shadows, textures, right? The best example of what a non-flat design, traditional design would be like the old Windows trash can, where it looks like a real trash can, right? But companies are now moving towards this new flat design where it's just much more simplistic, and it's mainly for two big reasons, right? First off, the main reason is because they want to target a new demographic. By giving the company and logo a new fresh look, they're able to actually revitalize that kind of interest within the company and through the logo, because it's much more fresher, and at the same time they use the traditional colors that resonated with their original customers, so they're able to simultaneously work to actually appeal to the younger generation as well as appeal to their older generations that still support the brand, giving it both the nostalgic but fresh look. So it's actually a really cool way of doing that. Now the second reason of why they're doing this is just because the attention span of people is becoming lesser and lesser. A couple years ago, it was like over 30 minutes or 10 minutes or something like that. I forgot what's the particular number, but in today's age, it's literally 7 seconds to actually catch somebody's attention. So being able to translate exactly what you stand behind, what you are, has become increasingly important. And having a flat icon where you don't have many things to distract people away from your brand has become increasingly important. That's why Burger King and many different companies, such as give me one moment, such as Foursquare, Petco, and Instagram and Netflix, have all adopted this new design language where it's much more simple, much more aesthetically pleasing, and it's not too much things going on to distract consumers, right? Alright, aside from all the different news going forward, I want to take a little bit of time to talk about Bigger Than This by Fabian Gehralter, right? Again, this is a book by Fabian Gehralter. Definitely recommend. It talks about 8 different commodity brand traits and how you should be applying them. Okay, today I want to talk a little bit about belief trait, and this is the second trait within the book, and really talks about how you should stand behind belief, right? And as we move forward with this digital age, it's really interesting to see how companies will be able to stand out among each other, right? Everybody's trying to produce content, everybody's trying to stand out within this market. So being able to stand out because you are able to resonate with your audience has never been more important. That's why things like belief, very important thing to help you differentiate as a brand. When we talk about, it's really about when the values are bigger than the product. At the end of the day, we all know that the product matters, right? If your product is in some sense terrible, consumers won't buy it. But if your product is just okay and you don't have a real differentiating way to really separate your product from the guy's product next to you, being able to actually provide that kind of value in the sense of values that what people actually care about and how people are able to resonate with is going to be an amazing way to actually bring value to a brand or towards a product that's just a regular commodity product, right? In this case, we're talking about value, where really, again, it's all about values, and we really need to make sure that values is something that we translate to every part of the brand, because one major flaw, right, across all of the different things here, 8 different value traits, right? People say they do something, but they don't do it all the way. And when you don't really live the way that you are talking and the things that you are preaching, people just see you as just trying to get, in some sense, get clout. And because of that, people are just not going to support you, and people are going to think you're just manipulative and you are literally just trying to get something from them and not really trying to stay by it. And if you end up becoming that kind of company, you are very likely to hurt the main consumer base and risk your long-term profitability as a company, right? Whether it's through your story trait, whether it's highlighting the origins of the very company, right? Highlighting a story that you can tell through the products that you are sharing, whether it's true belief, right? Again, what people care about, what are the values that what are the values that they hold close to their heart. Maybe it's you have to support a certain kind of political idea, right? Maybe it's cause. Maybe you're working because you are trying to support something else. Maybe it's a buy one I give one something, right? A BOGO, buy one give one. Things like that, like famous companies like Tom's actually does it, whether it's the heritage, what brings your brand and what really is the tying point that makes your brand different, right? Companies are great like this, Harley Davidson, that really plays towards the heritage of the company, really plays towards that kind of nostalgic feeling towards the company, and a whole bunch of different other things that you can actually go through. So as we move towards this new society and not new society, but this new environment of 2021, and we move towards this new platform where everybody's moving online, it'll be interesting to see the ways brands actually start differentiating from each other and really being able to pick out the differences in all these different areas will be very important moving forward, right? Alright guys, that's all I really have for you guys today. I hope this entire session has been somewhat interesting for you guys. I know I'm definitely interested in all these things, but I definitely would love to hear any feedback at all. I'll be super happy to hear any feedback whatsoever. I really do appreciate everything. And with that being said, I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you guys are tuning in, I am currently learning about beers, right? A little update about me. I'm actually currently learning about beers because there's an open position at VaynerMedia in New York City where they are really talking about hiring a post-strategist, post-production strategist, where really about thinking about different products. And one of the things that one of the product lines that they want is actually somebody that's interested in beer, or there's other things like cars and things like that, but I chose beer because why not, right? So I guess an assignment for myself personally, I'm actually looking at a video about beers right now and learning and deepening my understanding on beers. And I don't know, hopefully I'll get a job and we'll see how all of these things go. So again, thank you for watching the entire video. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks guys. Peace.